Paris Lawson, Bally Sports. Josh, you guys were able to get off to a really strong start tonight. It's something you guys really focus on and talk about a lot. Just what was key for you guys to get out to that strong start?
Yeah, I think we defended really well. Obviously a lot of our defensive game plan was centered around Porzingis and Kuzma. And I think, Jalen did a great job on him at the start. Lou did a great job on Kuz to start. But collective effort. We defended really well. We got out in transition. We ran. We made them call, a bunch of timeouts. So we built a lot of momentum through that first, and I think carried it through for, most part of 48 minutes.
You guys forced a lot of turnovers tonight, got a lot of points off of those turnovers. Just how big of a factor was the energy and physicality, free wall on the defensive end tonight?
Yeah, it was huge. We spoke about that pregame, being physical. That's how we want to be as a team. And I think it's been up and down this year, but when it's good, it's good. And teams feel it, and I think that sparks our offense in transition. We get out and run. We've got so many guys that can handle the ball and make plays. So when we're physical like that, and when we go small ball, we have to be physical with these big guys. So I think we did a good job of that tonight, and it's something we've got to carry forward.
Can you tell me about that give and go with Shai and just how fun that moment was?
Yeah, it was great. We knew towards the end that we were going to blitz him, get the ball out of his hands, and we just had to have guys ready to make plays. And usually you'd think, he passed to me, and they probably wouldn't expect it to be going back to Shai, and he cut and I saw him for a layup. But continuing to build that chemistry, and I think late game situations is going to be crucial because teams are going to start to double him and get the ball out of his hands. So other guys have to be ready to make plays, and that's going to be a lot of the time down the stretch now.
I know you guys know this about Lou, but what do you think it said about him tonight? He has to sit most of the second half, and he comes in and he makes some massive plays after they'd gone on that 12-0 run.
Yeah, he was huge. Obviously got in foul trouble, which sucks, but we'd love to have Lou on the court as much as possible, obviously for his defense, but the offensive end gives us so much, and he came back in that fourth quarter and gave us a big spark. He had 8 quick points, I think, extended the lead, so he was big. He does it on both ends of the floor. You never see Lou complain, and you can't tell if he's having a good night or bad night. His energy's the same, for the 48 minutes, regardless of, what's going on in the game for him. So he was great, and we needed, the minutes he played tonight. Although it was, shorter than usual, he was great for us.
Josh, you scored 20 points tonight. That's the 4th time in the last 5 games that you've scored 20 or more. You mentioned earlier this season that teams, had the scout on you because there's more film. They understand what you're trying to do. I'm just wondering, with this recent stretch of great play you've had, are there any more adjustments that you're seeing with your shooting improvement and scoring that teams are defending you differently?
Yeah, obviously struggled a bit early on to adjust to how teams were adjusting. I think just making an emphasis of getting downhill, getting to the front of the rim, trying to use my size a bit more. I've kind of not gone away, but kind of got out of that little mid-range. I used to shoot a lot of floaters, but trying to get downhill all the way to the rim now. Shooting the right catch and shoot threes. So just making the right play. It's been scoring lately, but whether that's passing, rebound, whatever it is, just trying to do what's best for the team.
You kind of went away from, just follow up on that, you kind of went away from the hook shot that you used to do and use your length more. Is that what you're talking about, trying to do what's best for a team and taking better shots?
Yeah, hook shots aren't really a high percentage for anybody, let alone when it's over a big guy. Sometimes, it is the right shot, but it's not really a high percentage shot. So just kind of balancing that, knowing when I get downhill, especially tonight, guys like, Gafford, who's a great rim protector, Porzingis, who's 7'3", there's going to be length there. So trying to make the right read, trying to be physical, trying to get into their bodies. I'm trying to draw fouls. Obviously, it's something I got to get better at. So, just trying to make the right read, and whether that's getting downhill, shooting the right shots, making the extra pass, doing what the team needs.
And then this is the 5th game this year with 30-plus assists for you guys. You had 6 guys with 3 or more assists. Coach talked about you guys making passes more proactive instead of reactive to the defense. What goes into that for you guys to know to pass the ball before the defense comes and gives you more pressure?
Yeah, I think that's just trusting the next guy. Obviously, that takes time with the new younger team, but it's gotten better and better each game. I think the assist numbers are going up, and I think when guys are playing unselfishly like that, it's contagious, and everyone wants to make the extra pass. You give up a good shot for a great shot, and I think a lot of it starts with our main ball handlers. When the wing guys and the bigs see us giving the ball up early, it's contagious. As I said, they want to give it up, and then it spreads throughout the team. So when we're playing like that unselfishly, we get a lot of good looks, and we've got a lot of guys that can make plays, make shots. So when we're playing like that, it's a tough team to defend.
Josh, when you've talked about your jump shot this season and the improvements that you've made, you've talked about mentality changes as much as mechanical changes. But just strictly speaking mechanically, I was wondering if you could share with us, like, you mentioned like old habits you were trying to break. What were some of those, and like what is different mechanically about your shot?
I mean, mechanically, when Chip came in, the first few weeks, all we shot were, one-hand shots. And a lot of it was trying to get my guide hand off. I used to flick the ball out with my guide hand. So a lot of it was that. But for the most part, mechanically, he didn't try to change too much. I mean, it's hard to change something you've done for the last, 15 years or so. So just little tweaks, but he put a heavy emphasis on just getting reps into it, and that's what we've done. So obviously it's good to see improvements, but I'm still a long way from where I want to be.
Nick Gallo, Bally Sports. Shai, just your thoughts on the great punch you landed early and then kind of carrying it through the 48 minutes.
Yeah, we were good tonight. And I think it was from start to finish. And they're a good basketball team. They've been playing well. I think they won 4 out of the last 6. But we were good on both ends of the floor for a long period of time tonight. I think that's why we had a comfortable win.
And then just tell me how fun that give and go was late. Seemed kind of like a backbreaker play between you and Josh.
Yeah, it's fun playing with Josh. He found me on a couple cuts tonight for sure, but he does that every night for us. Getting the easy ones is always fun, especially when teams scheme to make things hard for you. Having players like that out there that make the game easy for you, it's always more fun to play with.
They go on a 12-0 run in the fourth, and Lou, who had sat most of the second half with foul trouble, made some of the biggest plays of the game. Can you kind of put in perspective what he brought in that time and the mentality that it has to take to be able to do that after you missed all that time in the second half?
Yeah, he was just ready. And I think that's been a staple of Lou's career. He puts work in, and when his number's called, he's ready. We saw it, him coming through the NBA, and he takes that approach every night, every game, and that's why he's the player he is.
Paris Lawson, Bally Sports. You mentioned being good on both ends of the floor tonight. The defensive end in particular, you guys forced a lot of turnovers, got a lot of points off of turnovers. Just what was the focus for you guys on that end of the floor tonight?
Just make it difficult for them, and then play fast. Try to take them out of their comfort zone, and then try to play in ours. I think if we focus on that every night and try to do that every night, and obviously it's going to change depending on the team, but if we do that every night, we'll give ourselves the best shot.
And it kind of says a lot more that you guys are down a few bigs right now, and a lot of it's small players out there on the floor going up against, giving up a lot of size. Just what does it say about this group that the defensive energy and effort is still there? You're not giving up as much even if you're playing smaller.
Yeah, forces us to work a little bit harder, scramble a little bit more defensively. But it's a fun way to play. We have guys that thrive off of that, like Lou, K. Rich, guys that thrive off of hustle plays and playing with energy. And I think we're a better team when we play with that energy no matter who's out there. And the circumstances kind of forces us to channel that every night. We've been good with it.
Shai, Josh is shooting north of 40% from 3 over the last month or so.
Mm-hmm.
He's put in a lot of work into that. What have you seen as far as just how many reps he's gotten up, kind of working on that jump shot, and just kind of the steps he's made just from a confidence standpoint?
Yeah, when you work hard and work on the right things, coaches have been good with him, like mechanically and reps and stuff like that, and then Chip coming obviously helping. When you work hard and you work on the right things, it'll show, and we're seeing that slowly with Josh. As long as he continues to work, he'll continue to get better. But yeah, he puts in the work. I'm not surprised at all.
You guys had your 5th game with 30 or more assists tonight. You had 6 guys with 3 or more. Coach talked about how you guys how tonight's performance showed that you guys were more proactive in your passes instead of reactive and not waiting for the defense to come and show pressure. What goes into that for you guys to be more proactive in making quicker passes?
Just I think watching film helps with that, and then just having a together mentality offensively, and taking what the defense gives you. A lot of times defense try to load up and take away the paint. And if we move the ball fast, it'll be harder for them to react. And we saw that in film, especially from last game. We just tried to apply it tonight, and I think we did a good job.
Shai, last season you attempted 5.6 threes per game, then you had your ankle injury, and you came back and you were averaging 4.3 attempts. This year it's 2.9. Obviously it's paying dividends for you, not shooting as many threes because you've become one of the best scorers in the NBA and one of the best mid-range shooters. I just want to ask you about what was the process behind that, or that decision to, I guess, maybe pivot some of your game, because a lot of the NBA now is all about the three.
It's funny you say that. Like, my coaches and stuff and guys I work with, they want me to shoot more threes. I'm just not listening. But it's something that I work on a lot. And I kind of just playing in my comfort zone right now. But yeah, I'd still like to get that number up, kind of to where it was. But I'm obviously not going to force it and go out there and think that. I'm just going to play my game. But I'd like to get that number up.
Well, and as you drive more and more, I mean, you've led the league in drives the last few years. Are you feeling more and more teams trying to pressure you, I guess, into taking more threes, or is it just they're playing you straight up?
I think teams mix it up. Some nights they gap. Usually when it's a big, they gap just because they're slower footed. But I think teams mix it up, try to give me different looks. I just try to take what they give me every night.
You obviously got more MVP chance tonight, but J-Dub got some also. What's it like for you to get, not only for you to get MVP chance, but hearing your teammates get MVP chance?
Yeah, it's support at the end of the day. And the friends have been great with that since I've been here, supporting us, cheering us on. And I'm sure J-Dub likes them too.
Shai, you're one dunk away from matching your career high in dunks. Is that just something that you've attempted to do in dunk more, or is it just opening up more for you this year?
I work really hard on my body in the summertime. And I feel like every year in the NBA I get a little bit more athletic. I get off the ground a little easier and faster. So I think that's what it attributes to. Hopefully it doesn't slow down and I keep getting better at it.
Paris Lawson, Bally Sports. Lou, you guys were able to get off to a pretty strong start tonight. I know that's a focus for you all every single night, but what allowed you to kind of get out to a strong start?
Really, I mean, that's something we emphasize a lot, just how we start games. And I feel like we've been on and off on that part. And, you know, that's just the way we want to come out. And I feel like we just did a good job moving the ball and finding the right shots.
And for you guys, the defensive energy was just there from start to finish. And a lot of the guys mentioned being down some bigs kind of fuels you and motivates you to play even harder. Just how big of a factor was that for you guys tonight?
It was big. I mean, it happened to us a couple times this season and this past season. So I feel like when we got a lead like that, we just gotta push it, and just play it through the whole game. And I feel like we just did a good job throughout the whole game, even though we had some ups and downs. I feel like we just did a good job finishing the game.
You had to sit for foul trouble, but you came back in that fourth quarter, hit some big shots. When were you looking for it, and how tough is that to do after sitting so long?
I mean, it's tough. It's tough to just be sitting on the bench for a long time. But, I mean, I was just ready to come back in. I know I got some silly fouls, and I just had to be more disciplined on that end. But, you know, I just had to stay ready, and I felt like when I went back on the court, you know, I was ready, and I knocked out some big shots.
So, follow-up on that. How tough mentally is it knowing you have 5 fouls, but you still stayed aggressive on both ends of the floor? So when you're in the game, how tough is it to keep in mind that you don't want to get that 6th foul, especially when you came in, they were on a run?
Really, just be disciplined. And I was just trying to play defense without my hands, honestly, and just trying to stay in front of their guys. And yes, I mean, honestly, I don't really think about it that much. Because, I mean, if I get my 6th foul, I get my 6th foul, just whatever. But I just trying to just play without my hands and really, you know, stay disciplined.
12-0 run. Seemed like Lou played a major factor. Just your thoughts on the resilience he showed after missing a lot of that second half.
Yeah, he was really good. You know, he's obviously a great competitor every night. He handles the big matchups every night. I thought his offensive game tonight was about as good as he's played. You know, just a great pace, great decisions with the ball, took the right shots. And, you know, I think it's easy to lose sight of the fact that he's still developing. But that was huge progress. He's been trying really hard at that stuff, and I thought tonight it really came together for him. Unfortunately, the fouls limited his minutes, but he played a great game.
Then I also want to ask you about Shai. A lot of guys were getting 30 assists tonight, but he seemed to score off the catch so much tonight on the give and goes and back cuts and catch and shoot three in the corner. Just what were you seeing that was allowing for those easy looks to happen?
Yeah, it was more a reflection of the team offense, and I give him a lot of credit. He's as good of a isolation player as there is, and he really wants to participate in a team offense because he understands the bigger picture of that as it relates to developing the entire team and giving the rest of the guys confidence. And he's still learning how to do that, mechanically, but his intentions are certainly in the right spot, and I thought he did a really good job of that tonight, obviously.
And last thing, you all have talked a lot about getting off to good starts, and tonight you all really delivered that first punch and for the most part carried it through for the whole game. Why do you think that was the case?
I don't know. We were in a nice groove offensively to start, that's for sure, but I just thought, we came out with great intention from a physicality standpoint. We had our chest on them early. We dove right into the game tonight. We didn't ease into it at all, and it was a great response from the Orlando game because there was something to be desired after that one. And I just think, there's a little bit of a silver lining since we're a little bit smaller right now. It's really forcing us to be super physical with our guards in order to be effective. And I thought all those guys tonight, Jalen, Josh, Shai, Lou, Isaiah, Trey, they were physical tonight on the perimeter. It was a huge factor in the game.
Pearsall Valley Sports offensively shot the ball really well tonight, 51% from three, 17 made threes, and also a pretty relatively low turnover night. Is there anything on the offensive end that is kind of sustainable for you guys that you want to see moving forward?
Just the way the ball moved and the sharpness of our attacks. I thought it was good carryover again out of the Orlando game. Orlando really loaded up on us. We were a step slow. Both with our attacks, the speed of our actions and also our ball movement in that game, and it swallowed us up. Orlando did a great job and exposed that we needed to improve on that. And the guys, to their credit, we hit that today in shoot around and pregame, and they came out and played really well offensively and together.
And then also wanted to ask you about Josh, and obviously you talked about him before the game. Is what we saw tonight kind of a continuation of the trends that you'd been seeing from him in terms of playing aggressive, getting downhill, and playing with that force?
Yeah, he was big time tonight. He was big time. Great floor game, great balance in terms of when to attack and when to just move it. He was a ball mover tonight, but he also found his spots inside of the offense. And then defensively, he continues to focus on that end of the floor, and I thought he was really good there tonight. He handled good matchups. He was good in the help. He was early in the help. He communicated well. He had a play where Trey Mann switched onto, I think it was Gafford, and he bumped Trey Mann out of there as the bigger guy. That takes a lot of anticipation and engagement, and that just shows you that the guy's playing. And so, I was just pleased on that end of the floor tonight as I was on offense.
Myron Fox here in Oklahoma City. That physicality, that kind of the first quarter, I think they had 15 points, 6 of 22 from the field to start things off.
Yeah, again, I think, we have to be physical. It's part of the deal if you want to be a good team. It's not the mark of young teams usually, and that's a challenge that we pose to our guys, is we've got to make up for inexperience and the fact that we're probably not as physically developed as we're going to be at some point. We got to make up for that with physicality. And like I said, with J-Rob out, with Jalen Williams out, with Poku and his length out, it really puts a spotlight on our guards and wings' ability to stand in there. We're doing a lot of switching. They're finding themselves down around the basket. And I thought tonight, like I said, top to bottom, I thought we really took the fight to them.
When they talk about your team, Shai gets a lot of attention, and rightfully so, but you beat Boston without him. And I know some things went right. Tonight, the first half, I think he's 4 of 11. That's when you built your 26-point lead.
Yeah, and the thing I always give him credit for is like I said, he wants to be a participant in a great team. He doesn't just want to be a great player in a silo. He wants to help build a great team, and he's been a great factor in that up until this point, and he backs it up with the way he plays. And so he creates great space for his teammates. For a guy that is as talented and as ambitious as he is, he's just got an incredible balance of that. And I thought tonight that was on display with him in the lineup, and he was a full participant in the offense tonight, just like everybody else was. He held his own defensively. He was excellent tonight.
Mark, just to follow up on the size discrepancy, did you feel that you are almost able to turn that advantage around on them when they're playing bigs like Gafford and Porzingis together, that you can go small and, you know you can't really match them size-wise at this point, but not even try to.
Yeah, I mean, the swing vote on that is the physicality. You know, if you're small and you're not, the more physical team, you're just going to get punked and overwhelmed. And if you're small and really physical, you can offset some size, and that's hard to do. It's hard to crank that up night after night, and it's hard to do for 48 minutes, but it's also hard to be really good, and we want to be really good at some point. And, we have to do that if we want to be, and I thought we did that tonight.
You guys forced 20 turnovers. It was 32-9 in points off turnovers. What would you see from that standpoint? How were you able to force that many turnovers?
It's never like an outcome that we're trying to avoid or create. I think it's just downstream. Low turnovers on offense is downstream of good offense, and turnovers on defense is downstream of activity and intensity on defense. And I thought we had that tonight.
Fifth game this season with 30 or more assists. Had 6 guys with 3+ assists, 3 or more assists. Was it more of a conscious effort to move the ball? You talked about how you guys want to move the ball. So was it you guys saying we want to move the ball more on this team?
Yeah, the ball scores, when you're a really good offense, and we were a good offense tonight. And, I don't think we're ever like not trying to move the ball or selfish or anything like that. It's just like the earliness of it and like thinking ahead, like seeing a crowd and like getting off it early rather than doing it reactively to the defense, because then it's easier for the defense to recover if you do that. And I thought we were really early tonight. Like we didn't care who scored on a possession. We just made the right play on a lot of possessions and had good outcomes as a result.
Coach, you talked before about trying to get Jalen Williams kind of to be more aggressive offensively. How would you grade him out tonight in being aggressive offensively?
Pretty good. I thought they had bigs on him a lot of the night. That's another thing that the small lineups do, is it forces them to find matchups for Gafford and Porzingis, and Muscala puts a lot of pressure on them to do that. And so they started Porzingis on him, and he had a lot of space to operate. Found some good catch and shoots. Even missed his first one, kept going back to it. And yeah, I thought he had a really good balance tonight. I thought the whole team did.
Joe mentioned just weaponizing, I guess, the strengths of the team with the versatility and the speed. You guys get out to a great start, 22-0 on the points off turnovers category. You guys had a lot of full court pressure. Was that anything that was planned going into it? I know you said that the process for this defense is not meant to create a bunch of turnovers, or was it anything like that? Maybe just the fact the personnel you have, or...
Yeah, I mean, we want to mix in some zone. We want to mix in some trapping. We want to mix in some pressure. It keeps the other team off balance. It hopefully disrupts rhythm if you do it with good intensity. And I think it gives your own team energy. And I thought, sometimes they do it on their own, like out of a timeout. They crank it up. Kenrich is like notorious for that. I'll just turn around and the whole team will be in a full court man-to-man, and he's the one that's called it. But, yeah, it gives us energy. It's a good thing.
Josh has really seen the 3-ball fall over the last month or so. He was 2 for 2 tonight. How much does that open up, not just his game, but the team as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I think, everybody's just trying to find the right balance of aggressiveness with their offense and also functionality. And I think for him, it's, being like a really, really early ball mover and like really starting the blender for us. But also like finding his spots, which includes finding good catch and shoots and finding good like attacking opportunities and then doing so with force. And I think we're starting to see him kind of smooth his game out from an identity standpoint. He's still a young player, so he's going to have some regression there too. It's not going to be a linear progression, but he's certainly smoothing it out. He seems to have a nice blend to him right now. He's in a good spot.